Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Ghosted, and we finally got patch 12.7. All the buffs and nerfs coming in the new patch. It seems like we have some very controversial ones, I would say, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. Some of them aren't on here, so that's why I have Server 20 open over here for Zeri, because hers aren't on here. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, we have is Gwen. Her E cooldown refund is being increased from 50% to 60%. That is going to make her laning a lot stronger, plus her jungle as well, because it just makes her easier to get her damage off and get her E right back, since her E is like pretty strong level 1 top lane, because it's, you know, good for dueling, plus lethal tempo is a thing. So yeah, and her R cooldown is also being decreased from 120 to 80 to 100 to 80. So there, I don't know if she needs a buff. Again, that's a champion that's like, we're buffing that champion, let's think about it now, but it is what it is. Next up we have his Pantheon. It doesn't actually show it here, but I do remember hearing some stuff like his E, he won't be slowed whenever he uses his E. I don't know about his Q and his W yet, so yeah, we'll see some changes on that soon. Next we have his Yasuo and Yone. Yasuo is getting a base HP increase from 490 to 520, and his R cooldown is being lowered from 80 to 30 to 70 to 30. I think Yasuo did need some help. He's not what he used to be back in the day, like season 6, 7. He's kind of, you know, Yasuo needs some help. Yone, on the other hand, I don't think so, but they did decrease his R cooldown, so it's from 120 to 80, and now it's 120 to 60. Next up we have his Wukong. His Q cooldown is being lowered from 9 to 7 to 8 to 6, and his W cooldown is also being lowered from 20 to 16 to 20 to 12, and plus they added a new feature where his W can now go over walls, which pushes them over walls pretty much, and his E monster modifier is also being increased from 150 to 180, and his E AP ratio is also being increased to 100%. These are some pretty big changes coming to Wukong. They're trying to make Wukong jungle a lot stronger. I think the change for his W to push him over walls is kind of big, plus the E monster modifying damage. But I mean, the E gives him attack speed and damage, but it's not like you're building AP on it, so the AP ratio going up isn't too like insane to me. I could be wrong here, but it's not too insane to me. Next up we have is Nico. Her W damage is being increased from 50 to 130 to 50 to 170, and her W movement speed is also being increased from 10 to 30 to 10 to 40%. So they're trying to make Nico a little bit stronger. I honestly haven't seen her play too much, so I can understand why she's getting buffed here. It's not like this is a weak champion. It's not like it's like GANGPLANK, who is supposedly getting a buff. We see it right here, but yeah, GANGPLANK for some reason getting a buff. His passive damage is being increased from 55 to 225 to 55 to 310, and his W mana cost is also being lowered from 80 to 120 to 60 to 100. A crazy buff. I don't think he needs it personally, just because I feel like GANGPLANK, he's been getting a whole bunch of buffs. I don't think the champion's weak at all, so I don't see what this buff is like trying to do, unless they're trying to like even him out. Like he has too much power in different places, so they're trying to buff his other abilities too. But then again, the whole champion's gonna be pretty much fucked, because the crit is pretty strong on him. You can go bruiser, or like not bruiser, but a little bit tankier, and you still do damage. So I don't know what this change is gonna do. And besides, it's like, what are you lowering the mana cost for? Most GANGPLANKs go Essence Reaver and tier anyway, so it's not like it's like he needs help on his mana. He also takes biscuits. It's honestly, there's just a lot that helps GANGPLANK with his mana that this change right here doesn't seem needed, and I don't think his passive damage needs to be increased anyway. So yeah. Next up we have is Kalista. Her base mana is being increased from 250 to 300. Her base movement speed is also being increased from 325 to 330, and attack speed per level is being increased from 4 to 4.5. Kalista did need a buff. Lilia, her passive AP ratio is being increased from 12% to 20% of her AP, and the W damage is also being increased from 70 to 150, or being increased from 70 to 150 to 80 to 160. So we're getting a Lilia buff. Lilia is annoying when she's ahead, but her jungling clear did need a little bit of assistance. I did not see her as much, but then again, it probably is just my elo, I don't know, but I didn't see her too much, so I think she did need a little bit of help. Next we have his Karthus. I don't think he needed a buff. His clear is pretty much good. His Q monster damage is being increased from 85 to 95. I feel like his clear is pretty good anyways, just because he has his E, and it helps him clear small things like raptors, wolves. So again, he probably did need a buff, but I haven't seen him, so I don't know. Next we have some champion nerfs. We have Zeri, who we're gonna go over here to Surrender at 20 and take a look at. We have her attack speed ratio is being increased from 0.568 to 0.598, and her Q burst fire is being, the active damage is being changed from 10 to 30 plus 110% of her AD to 6 to 10 plus 110 scaling of her percent of her AD. So instead of it just being at 110 at all the times, they're changing it so the base damage on it is being lowered, but the percentage is being increased per level. So it starts at 110, then it gets up slowly to 120%. So I mean, Zeri's not turbo broken and elo inflated like she was before, so this is probably going to help her out because she did get hit with a whole bunch of nerfs before. Not a bad champion now, I think. Hopefully this gives her some more playability and gives Zeri mains a little bit something that they wanted. Her W damage is being lowered from 40 to 180 plus 100% of her AD plus 60% of her AP, and is now being changed to 10 to 150 plus 120 AD and plus 170% of her AP. So changing her W, I think this is needed. I don't know if her W was doing crazy damage before, but it shouldn't be as high as it is. So again, I don't know. She isn't too played too much because of all the nerfs she had before. Hopefully this helps even her out. They added something new to her E. If her burst fire critically strikes, it reduces the cooldown an additional time. So I'm assuming it reduces like a second extra. So instead of it being cooldown reduced by 1 second every time she auto attacks, it's being reduced by 2. Makes it hard to catch, I guess. I don't think it's that. Well, it's obviously it's big because it helps her move around and makes crit more of a want to go build, because I know people just go Trinity and go crazy from there, but they're making crit more of a viable, more of an option that teams might want to buy on her. Next up we have is her R Lightning Crash. There's a new effect on it. If burst fire critically strikes, it adds an additional stack of overcharge, and the chain lightning can critically strike but does not apply on-hit effects. So the lightning no longer applies on-hit effects whenever she does her Q or I think her auto. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I still don't know what Zeri does. Like, I don't know what her R does completely. I would read it, but I'm trying to finish this up. I don't know what the hell. Well, I do know what she does, but I'm not too sure what her R does. I know it gives her a whole bunch of buffs. It gives her attack speed, extra damage, and from what it seems here that her attacks like jump to character. So like kind of like Hextech and Static Shiv. So I know what all her other abilities do. I'm not too sure if this is something that's like crazy strong on her. So, you know, I apologize for that, but hey, I still think and hope that this champion does not become crazy like it did before. Let's go ahead and look at the other nerfs that we got. I don't know why they're nerfing. Well, I do know why. I do know why they're nerfing Ryze. Because of pro play, Ryze is already at a low ass win rate, but they're nerfing him even more. His Q mana ratio is being decreased from 3% to 2%, and his Q AP ratio is being increased actually from 45 to 50. But I don't know if Ryze players really care about this too much when the whole Q mana ratio is being decreased by 1%. Well, the champion is already not that good. I mean, he's good, but you kind of have to go tank on him to really be effective like that. So, yeah. We have Lee Sin. His base AD is being lowered from 68 to 66, and his Q1 and Q damage is being Q1 and 2 damage is being lowered from 55 to 155 to 50 to 150. So just 5 damage overall on that ability. Lee Sin, don't see him too much. Jace. His base HP is being lowered from 560 plus 90 per level to 520 plus 95 per level. His base armor is also being lowered from 27 plus 3.5 per level to 22 plus 3.8 per level. So these are champion nerfs, champion buffs. Overall, some like Ryze is a weird one, and some of the buffs on here are weird. I don't know. Next up we have is champion adjustments. Since Rengar is kind of blowing everything up, his Q bonus damage is being lowered by 40% on structures, and his W bonus monster damage is being increased from 65 to 130 to 85 to 150. Next up we have is Umbroglade. The cost of it's being lowered from 2400 to 2300, and the cooldown is also being lowered from 45 seconds to 35 seconds. Pike players are already loving that. Next up we have is the Abyssal Mask. Max MR Shred being increased from 20 to 25, and the Shred The shred ratio is 1% bonus health to 1.2% bonus health, so this item will be probably bought a little bit more just because they changed some of these and they increased the bonus HP ratio on it. We have some system nerfs. Winter's approach and Feeble Winter's being a cost increase because it was way too cheap. 2600 to 2700, not too big of a nerf on it, but it is what it is, and it's also losing 50 health from 400 to 350. Next up we have is Moonstone Renewer. The heal / shielding power per ratio or per stack is being decreased from 7% to 35 to 6% to 30. So Moonstone did need a nerf. This is actually pretty big on it. It's removing 5% of healing and shielding. Plus, supports usually take the Revitalize. I think it is the Revitalize rune that pretty much increases healing and shielding on champions that they heal. Next up we have is the Gale Force nerf. The item's cooldown on it is being increased from 90 seconds to 110 because too many champions are building Gale Force and it's kind of overpicked in my opinion. Next up we have is Time Warp Tonic. The immediate potion of restore is being decreased from 50% to 30%, and the bonus movement speed is being decreased from 5% to 4%. Overall, some pretty big buffs and nerfs coming into this new patch. I think this will change up a few things, like this will make Wukong jungle a lot stronger. I feel like Pantheon is going to be getting a little bit more play here. Yasuo did need some help. I think he's not the strongest as he was before, but we don't want him too strong or too weak. Yone, I don't know. Wukong, they're making him jungle. Nico needed some help, I think. GANGPLANK, there's smoking crack with this patch. Callista did need some help. Lilia, she needed help, but I don't know if there's a but there, but yeah, it's Lilia. Karthus, same thing. Zeri did need a change. I gotta look at what that champion does, I'll be honest. I haven't played too much since she got out, but it's Zeri, so she probably did need a nerf, I guess. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of this patch. Did you think the buffs and nerfs were deserved? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.